Wheeler, Tanisha Allen,
Here.
Monica Gary,
Here.
Meg Bunky, Pamela Young, Pamela Sabeski,
Here.
Ralph Smith,
Here.
Jeanette Richel, Alana Mensing,
Here.
Daryl Moore, Matthew Kelly, Jason Graham, Deborah Frazier, here, Lori Hayes, Tim McLaughlin, David Ross, Jennifer DeBrule, Todd Horsley,
Here.
Grant Sparks, Elizabeth Guzman, George Parker. Mr. Chairman, we do have a quorum.
Thank you, ma'am. Can I get approval of the agenda?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
We
Second.
have a motion, probably second. Any changes, anything? No? Okay, please call for the vote.
Victor Angry.
Aye.
Andrew Bailey.
Aye.
Margaret Franklin.
Aye.
Tanisha Allen.
Aye.
Monica Gary.
Aye.
Pamela Sabeski.
Aye.
Alana Mensing.
Aye.
Deborah Frazier.
Aye.
Todd Horsley.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, that motion's approved.
Thank you, ma'am. And now can I get approval of the minutes?
So moved. Second.
Okay, we have a motion to properly second it
That was Sabeski and
Bailey?
Bailey.
Yes.
thank you. Victor Angry.
Aye.
Andrew Bailey.
Aye.
Margaret Franklin.
Aye.
Tanisha Allen.
Aye.
Monica Gary.
Aye.
Pamela Sabeski.
Aye.
Alana Mensing.
Aye.
Deborah Frazier.
Aye.
Todd Horsley.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, that motion's approved.
Thank you, ma'am. And Mr. Dalton, sir, the floor is yours.
Good evening, Mr. Chair. Thank you, and commission members and others. Just as a brief update on operations for the month of November. We were slightly below our target of 90%. On-time performance, unaudited, we came in about 87.5%. Ridership, of course, had dropped for the month of November primarily because of the Thanksgiving holiday. But from a year-over-year perspective, we're still, the month of November is tracking about 10-15% above November of 2022. So, but you do have the CEO report in your packet and everything like that. So, so you have that information, and then we do have some action items for you, and the chair's consent. If we want to go ahead and bundle those, I can just summarize each of them, and then you can take a vote.
Yes, and I would just ask Commissioner if we're okay with that. We want to bundle these three action items into one motion. If that's all, okay, so yeah, we're good with that.
Okay.
Go ahead, sir.
So, Mr. Chair, I'll just step right into those. Item 6.2 on your agenda, we're seeking the commission's acceptance of the VRE fiscal year 2023 audited financial statements and auditors report. Again, you have that in your package. I'll just simply state that PB Mayor's VRE's auditor, in addition to the commission's auditor, they have their documents in there as well. They've rendered an unmodified opinion consistent with previous years. And so I just want to point out that the opinion letter specifically states that the financial statements in all material respects fairly and accurately present the financial position of VRE. So that's 6.2, 6.3. We're seeking authorization for the Chief Executive Officer to submit the VRE applications to the Northern Virginia Transportation Commission I-66 Commuter Choice FY 25-26 program. And it's listed in your packet as well. We do have a couple of programs or projects that we're going to apply for, and just wanted to make it clear here that all you're doing is giving me authorization to apply. You're not rendering an opinion on whether or not those are valid projects or not. You're just giving me the opportunity to go ahead and apply for that program. And then finally, 6.4. Once again, you have it in your packet. We're seeking, based on the operations board recommendation, we're seeking the commission's authorization for our 2024 legislative agenda. And essentially, we had that for you as an information item. And that you're basically giving me authorization to go and pursue that agenda. And of course, if you have any questions on any of these items, glad to answer those. But that's my summary, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you, sir. We got a comment here.
Well, I'll just want to
Okay.
move items 6.2, 6.2, 6.3, and 6.4.
Okay, we have a
Second.
motion and we have a second, property second. Any discussion? Hearing none, please call for the vote.
Victor Henry.
Aye.
Andrew Bailey.
Aye.
Margaret Franklin. Tanisha Allen.
Aye.
Monica Gary. Pamela Sadowski.
Aye.
Alana Mensing.
Aye.
Deborah Frazier.
Aye.
Todd Horsley.
Yes.
George Barker.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, that motion's approved.
All right, thank you. Hey, I want to turn over real quick to Commissioner Franklin here to just kind of make a cool announcement that we heard this morning.
Sure, and then hopefully Rich can kind of double back on that as well, but a number of us attended a press conference this morning outlining over 700 million in federal funding for VPRA and our that's right, our Long Bridge project that we have been working on apparently for a lot longer than I've been here. We were able to hear the history of that particular project, but we are thrilled. Over 700 million is a lot of money to be coming to this project. It really does speak to how influential Virginia has become with regards to infrastructure. And then I'll also just say that I think the total cost for the project is about 2.2 billion. So to be able to get a good chunk of that in federal funding, quite frankly, that's incredible. So we ought to be really thankful to our congressional delegation. And Rich, if you have anything more to offer on that, it's a huge benefit to VRE. It'll help with congestion, obviously in the areas that we've been discussing over the past couple of years, and it's really going to be transformational. Rich?
I couldn't say it any better myself. And I'll say this, like, it's a game changer for us. And you have over, particularly the last couple of years, I come in here and I give you, and you see it in the CEO report, I give you an operational report. Vehicle congestion is a given out there. What I speak to is train congestion, and where we have some very high standards for reliability and of course, not discounting safety or anything, but so this is the pinnacle. That Long Bridge project is again, it's a game changer. Granted, it's going to take a couple of years to construct and everything, but as I stated, I was at a VPRA board meeting yesterday, and we distill all these grand projects and stuff as it relates to transforming rail in Virginia, and rightly so, celebrate these successes and the milestones and stuff. But at the end of the day, it's about our passengers and the communities that we serve, and they're really the true winners of these milestone events. So yeah, we're happy. Now we need to go out there and get dirt under our fingernails and construct something. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
And why? Because trains are what?
Cool.
Yes.
Yeah, this is, we're still downplaying it, I think, so. But this is fixing the choke point that basically has had the southeast United States divided by the Potomac River and the northeast of the United States not able to work together. And it's passenger, it's freight, it's everything that you could ever want. And it's that bridge is over 100 years old, and they thought it was so old that it would fall in the river before they could fix it. But they said actually it's in good shape. And so we are actually adding capacity rather than replacing capacity. And what it will do is do a phenomenal job in terms of the Northeast Corridor, which is actually where the largest amount of passenger rail exists right now in the United States. And this will make it where it will be tremendous opportunities on both freight and passenger rails.
Awesome. Thanks. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, everyone. I also want to add, in terms of the VRE report, we did conduct the CEO and CLO evaluations. Thank you both for your patience. We will be presenting that in the January meeting. as we go forward. And so just wanted to make everybody aware it was not sitting on the shelf, it's in progress due to a little thing called re-election. So we appreciate your patience with us. Thank you.
Yes. And thank you, gentlemen, both, all right?
Thank you.
I don't see you. Merry Christmas, happy holidays.
Everybody. Looks like you're all suited up, ready to go.
That's right.
And if I see, of course, Saturday, we have our annual Santa Trains event. I know I'll see some of you out there. Some of you will be costumed up. The guy to your left there, Mr. Chair. Always an advocate and a supporter of our Santa Trains out there. He'll be suited up, ready to go Saturday morning. I'll let him tell you which train he's on. I won't give that. Y'all stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you.
There you is. Okay, now we're gonna move into our audit report. So I have Mr. Dwight Burger and Hunter. So sir, the floor is yours.
Good evening, I'm Dwight Baracker with PB Mayors. I handle the audit engagement for both PRTC and BRE. Hunter Simmons is here tonight with me. He handled the audit, the day-to-day work. He actually does all the work. I just get to come and talk to everyone. So first, I just want to thank Bob, his staff, Joyce, Butandra, Bill. They do a great job being fully prepared for us when we come in the door. So makes our job a little easier. The financial statements that are issued, there's only several pages that belong to PB Mayors. There's 3 opinions that we issue. There's an opinion on the financial statements themselves, all the numbers, and also 2 compliance opinions, one on internal control, and then also one on the federal funding that's received here at PRTC. All 3 of those opinions are unmodified, clean opinions, the highest opinion that we can issue as auditors. So another great year here for the commission. Not a whole lot to point out in the financial statements this year. Last year, we implemented GASB 87, which led to a lot of changes in the financial statements with the new lease standard. Fortunately, for PRTC specific information in the financials, the new GASB 96 that was implemented by most jurisdictions and localities throughout the state, that didn't have any impact on the commission. So a lot of work went into evaluating if we needed to report anything, but fortunately for their staff, they didn't have to report any of these intangible assets that we see now in financials. Other than that, there's not anything else I wanted to point out in the financials, but I will take any questions if anyone has any questions at this time.
All right, thank you, sir. Do we have any questions based on presentation? And if not, then can I get a motion to approve the audit report?
Motion to approve.
Okay, a motion, a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, please call for vote.
I believe that was Frazier and Bailey.
Yes.
Yes.
Fraser Bailey.
Thank you. Victor Angry.
Aye.
Andre Bailey.
Aye.
Margaret Franklin.
Aye.
Tanisha Allen.
Aye.
Monica Gary.
Aye.
Pamela Sabeski.
Aye.
Alana Mensing. Deborah Frazier.
Aye.
Todd Horsley.
Yes.
George Barker.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, that motion is approved.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Sir, gentlemen,
Thank you all,
thank you
appreciate it.
for that
Happy
presentation.
holidays and thank you everyone.
Yes. All right. Public comment time. Do we have anyone in-house or anything online or? Public?
Mr. Chairman, no one submitted comments via email.
Okay. All right. And we have no one in-house. Okay, all right. So we're on to our consent agenda. If I get a motion to approve consent agenda. All right, we have a motion,
Second.
and we have a second. Commissioner Allen, Commissioner Gary, made the motion, Commissioner Allen, second. And well, there's no discussion, so please call for the.
Victor Angry.
Aye.
Andrew Bailey. Margaret Franklin.
Aye.
Tanisha Allen.
Aye.
Monica Gary.
Aye.
Pamela Sabeski.
Aye.
Alana Mensing. Deborah Frazier.
Aye.
Todd Horsley.
Yes.
George Barker.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, that motion's approved.
Thank you, ma'am. And we are now on to Mr. Santa Claus.
We'll be on the Manassas train Saturday morning. If you'd like to bring your VRE ticket. Say hi. A couple of, we want to do a couple of things very briefly. We got holiday goodies for you, obviously. The Santa hat, we got those for our employees. We got the lapel pins. If you listen to Santa Claus as the Omni Ride swirl in there, very creative, as well as a snowflake, our our employees love wearing them. But we want to do something to have a little more joyous this season. It's a great opportunity to do that. It is my favorite season of the year, and those who are, because it's not the holidays, it's college bowl season. I just want to remind everyone that there's great pickup pools out there on ESPN.com, et cetera. But this is how I spend pretty much the next 3 weeks of my life. So it's a wonderful time of the year. We've got the holiday goodies. I will remind, we do have our service launch. Very, very, very exciting Monday morning. Please join us as early as you want to. We'll be at the park and ride lots earliest at 4:30?
4:05.
4:05. We'll be at the park and ride lots in Stafford and Spotsylvania County, freezing ourselves off. Maybe I'll wear that Santa suit an extra day to stay warm. And we're launching those 3 new routes. We have a ribbon cutting at 11 o'clock at the Commonwealth Drive lot. Please check your email, all the details, the information in there if you can join and attend. So we're very excited about that. Okay. And then operational update, what we're gonna do is we're gonna bypass a lot of the technical information. We'll have the information Christine will send out, normally I present, and I'll do a specific wrap up of November, December combined, because I know we want to get to the budget workshop and get you home. But I did want to specifically mention our new Keolis General Manager, Mr. Bill Wingfield. So you have an opportunity to welcome and introduce himself. Some of you got to meet him on Friday on his first day at the legislative reception or legislative forum, excuse me, in Arlington. Mr. Wingfield.
Sure, thank you. Billy Wingfield, I come to you guys today by way from Boise, Idaho, by way of Long Beach, California.
Just weird, just weird. Long Beach, California, boys out. This is, we already talked about that. My bad.
It's some background, Vic. It's some background. Yeah, it'll make sense. We have the conversation. Been in the industry about a little over 15 years. My latest role, I was transit consultant. So before coming here, that's what was going on. I have a family of 4, 3 kids and a wife that's headed out. And so I've talked to, I believe it's Pam and Vic, and I'm open to having more discussions about opportunities out here to relocate, where you guys think would be best.
Stafford.
Is there a particular district you should?
Perfect Whitewater. Perfect Whitewater.
Whitewater?
Tidewater. We'll get you a list.
Continue those conversations. Like everyone is kind of rooting for their particular area that they represent. So great way to open up some discussion and put some faces to names. I'm excited to be here, ready to represent the core values. I've been on board now. Today's day 5. It's been interesting. I won't go into too many details, but lots going on, lots to learn. Excited to be here. Safe, reliable, friendly, clean, cost effective with values. And those are things that I can align with. And I think that we can achieve some operational excellence through this journey we're on. So I just want to say thank you to Tricia for onboarding me. She's been great through the training process. And essentially, I just call her like a mother hen almost. So that's going to last for another couple weeks, and then I'll be off on my own. So thank you guys. I look forward to working with you. And all right.
So everyone knows, so a few people have already heard the story. Mr. Wingfield joined the transportation industry when he was hired by the general manager in Boise, Idaho, named Bob Schneider. Bobby then.
Bobby.
Yes, Bobby. Yes, he knows me as Bobby. I know him as Billy.
Go back to that.
You are welcome to.
Oh, really?
If you are on a conference call, Bobby shows up in my Zoom. But so we worked together for about 4.25 years, somewhere in there. So that's why he knows the core values. He was the day we sat in my office and hammered that. We have not worked together for over a decade. So it's not like, we called him up and said, hey, truly was part of the national search. And quite frankly, I made sure it was part of the national search when he texted me one evening and said, think about getting back in the operations game out of consulting. What about Cincinnati? I said, no. They'll meet Dwayne Eskurka from Keolis. And they already knew each other, but it was that case of, I'm not going to allow talent to go somewhere else when we have opportunity in media. So they did the selection, the hiring, et cetera. Interview committee was part of our staff, et cetera. So we're thrilled to have them on board, and it's a good experience. And I'm actually rather proud that someone that I hired and developed has gone on to be, when I left no longer being the general manager, he became the general manager, and then he went to work on the public side for the client. So he's been a consultant. I haven't had that role, so I'm still learning from him on that. But it's an opportunity for us to work together again in a very different way. So.
Welcome. We have lots of potatoes here too, so you'll be okay.
The seasoning on it.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll share one little other bit of information, because we're a football crazy area. The reason he ended up in Boise State, as you may have heard, the blue turf at his college football bowl season, but wide receiver at Boise State University, and played with the Chicago Bears and the Winnipeg
Thanks, Bobby.
Bombers. Were they the Bombers?
Yeah, the Blue Bombers.
Yeah. We spent a lot of time sitting in the office after hours talking college football. So.
Were you Fiesta Bowl, Boise?
Pre-Fiesta Bowl.
Ah,
Hey.
All good. All good. We're good. This is okay. So we have 0 presentations. That's not always good. And we have, well, I mean, it's not always good. I mean, it's good given tonight, but we got a lot to get through. So that's actually good tonight. So we'll get back to those in the new year. So, yeah. You know what I mean. All right, but I do have 3 action items that we can bundle these too. Yeah?
Yes, I can give a brief description if you'd like.
Okay.
Purchase the new MCI buses again. We have an aging fleet. These are 15, 16 years old. They're due for replacement. It's, as you'll see in our presentation, it's driving part of our maintenance costs. This gives an opportunity to update the fleet. And then what we are interested in doing is asking for authorization to apply for and accept future funding for I-66 commuter choice projects. What is interesting about these particular 2 is we are proposing launching services from Front Royal as well as from Warrenton. Now, of course, this takes time to get these things done. We'll have to do some partnership agreements, working with Sharon on the legal questions for that. Been in touch with, I've sat in the office of the town manager at Front Royal. Had a challenge getting a phone call with Warrenton, but we're serving the park and ride lot on the DC side of Warrenton. If you know what that means, it's up there, all the park and ride lots on Route 29. And so we'll be proposing that moving forward. And then the final item is we need to do our onboard survey. It's required for our Title VI program. So it's a federal requirement, and they're good at it. They've done it before for us. They're on state contract, and we are required by law in order to conduct these items. So those are the 3 items, Mr. Chair.
There we are. We have 3 items. Can I get a motion?
second.
Okay. I don't know where to go. Yeah, so who wants the motion?
Not me.
I'll take the motion.
Okay, so Commissioner Allen made the motion. Who got the second? Commissioner Gary has the second. Okay. Any discussion? Yes.
Sure, just want to highlight particularly the replacement buses. I've always been a supporter of modernizing, upgrading our buses, and I always say the reason being is because when commuting, we would always have challenges with buses ending up on the side of the HOV or wherever with mechanical issues or whatever it may be. So supporting this to get newer buses is always a good thing. I do have a quick question. Where are we in kind of fully replacing all of our buses?
So they each have a cycle. We have a fleet replacement cycle and plan.
Okay.
Is that included in the motion item? Could we include that? Okay, we did not. Would you like a copy of it?
No, I
Okay,
just curious if we're almost there to like full replacement of all of our buses.
We will never be there because they're aging as
Yeah.
each year goes by. So we don't want to replace everything at once because
Sure.
then it's a massive at once
Yep.
undertaking and the whole fleet
Yep.
goes bad at once.
Mhm.
So we tend to break them down. It's a little bit of combination of A, funding,
Mhm.
when is funding available, and B, the number of units. We've actually shrunk our total fleet over the past few years due to the pandemic. So this allows us to be a little more aggressive in the percentages. But the goal is to try to have the youngest fleet age. In perfect world, your average fleet is 8 years old because you just got one
Yeah.
today and you have the one that you're getting rid of is 16 years old.
Sure.
So that average age is what you target. We tend to actually have a little bit older fleet age. I think we're around 9.5, 10 years old.
Yeah, I would say that of all the things that we approve, this is probably one of the most important because it keeps our life cycles going. Thank you.
Awesome. Any more discussion? Hearing none, please call for vote.
Victor Angry.
Aye.
Andrew Bailey. Aye. Margaret Franklin.
Aye.
Tanisha Allen.
Aye.
Monica Gary.
Aye.
Pamela Tedeschi.
Aye.
Alana Mensing.
Aye.
Deborah Frazier.
Aye.
Todd Horsley.
Yes.
George Barker.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, that motion's approved.
Thank you, ma'am.
Mr. Chairman, I wondered, since you're going to chairman's time, if you'd like to recognize Mr. Lloyd to give a safety message?
Yes, ma'am, I would. Thank you very much. And Ms. Lord, I want to apologize because I completely blew over that. And so, yes, the floor is yours, sir. to give
And
us-
that's fine. Thank you,
Yes.
thank you. Really briefly,
Don't be brief, man. Take your time.
no,
Take your time. Safety is important.
absolutely. So since we're in the Christmas and holiday season, I just want to give you guys some security side of the coin now. At home, make sure you guys always lock your doors, of course. Lock your windows, make sure you have the bolts. Beware of people that may come, scammers, that may come to your door to ask you things like, hey, you need your carpet done, or things of remodeling, they have a holiday discount and things of that nature, because a lot of times there's scammers that are trying to scope out to see how are you home, who's home, and also what do you have inside your home for a potential robbery. The other thing that I wanted to add to that is when you go away, let a neighbor know. If you have lights that are automatic, please make sure that they come on properly. Make sure that you have any dark spots outside of your house, make sure that they're lit up. Driveways, any entries to your house, that a lot of people like to hide. I said leave it for the holidays. Then after the holidays, just make sure that, and I know you guys are really good at this, not posting what you have a lot on social media, but we all have kids. And I had to get on mine. Don't post what you get on social media because people may come after you based on that.
They may not have it anymore.
Exactly. And the last piece is something that came up this week was be mindful of folks' mental health. You know, this is a great season. We're always happy for it, but there's some people that are actually looking at this as more sorrow because maybe they lost some folks. So just be kind to each other and ask about each other. Make sure you check on neighbors, family members, and things like that. As always, Christine has some tips that she'll send out so you could send to your citizens. And if you ever have any questions, just let me know.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And thank you for that. Yeah, really appreciate that. Safety.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Okay.
Brief, and just, I think he got all of his safety tips from Home Alone.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, I'm so I'm holding for next year.
Wet bandit.
Yeah, okay, all right, so we're on to my time. All right, folks, so this is that time of the year where we need to ask for volunteers to chair the committee for the election of the nominating committee for PRTC Commission 2024. And I think every jurisdiction has to appoint someone for that. Are we doing that? Do we need to have that list now here? I know there are a lot of people missing, or just put that out.
Who's not, who gets nominated?
Our goal for tonight is to appoint one member from each jurisdiction to be on the nominating committee. We need a chair of that committee, and that chair will work with each member to tell us, number one, who their jurisdiction thinks should be officers for 2024 for the PRTC board, and tell us who their jurisdiction intends to appoint to the VRE operations board.
Okay. So I guess we'll start with who wants to chair this wonderful, lovely commission?
Deborah.
No.
I
I nominate Dr. Frazier.
I feel like they nominated you. Are you okay with that nomination?
See my finger. Okay, you make it easy.
We make it
You did it last year.
We do make it easy.
Excuse myself.
You feel good with that? Okay. So we got that out of the way. I think pretty much right now, we have only really one rep from each the jurisdictions that are here. So I think you all are appointed on it.
Well,
I nominate
Supervisor Allen would love to do this.
Okay, so
I'm good.
that frees you,
Yes.
okay?
And I nominate Jeanette Rishaw.
Because she must be present to win, so, okay, there we go, and.
It's one phone call, it's not big, it's like
What we
10
got?
minutes.
She can do it.
She'll be all right.
We got, which one of y'all? We got
Let's flip a coin. No, that's not how it works.
I think we-
Okay, then it's
you-
rolling.
you-
I'll tell you
you
that right
don't-
now.
you don't want it?
Between me and the board.
nominating committee?
Oh, no.
You just voluntold.
Yeah, you're on it.
Did you get?
No kidding. You want it?
I'm happy.
Franklin.
I can do it, yeah.
Yeah,
Sure angry, everyone's lost it. You need to-
yeah, I know. Get it back, get it back.
Is that a big?
Okay, and then, so, Pam, is that you?
Yeah, I'm the only one here, so I guess I'm by default.
Okay, and then so.
No, actually, I got
I don't know
in the
the
back.
sections that are missing, so.
So,
You might be hiding, but I know he's there.
so, just let me confirm if I have everything correct. Who is the representative from Prince William County
Commissioner Franklin.
and from Stafford?
Supervisor Allen?
Okay,
Mr. Allen.
so from Prince William, we have Supervisor Franklin. From Stafford, we have Supervisor Allen. From the city of Manassas, we have Vice Mayor Sebeski. From Manassas Park, although
Mayor
she is not here, Mayor Rischel has been nominated. And our chair is Deborah Frazier from Spotsylvania.
Mr. Kelly is not here.
We need
will-
somebody from Fredericksburg,
I
but
will, we will reach out to him and let him know that he is the default by policy.
He keeps
Um,
trying to retire. We won't.
We'll get him Monday.
And so I'm to let you know, you're gonna be working with this outstanding lady here, Christina Rodrigo. She's gonna work with you on this commission, and during the January meeting, additional nominations for PRTC officers will be invited from the floor and a vote will be taken. Okay, I think we've cleared that. And now on to the awesome part, the recognition of our outgoing commissioners, which the floor is completely on this great gentleman right here. Commissioner Barker. Okay. Now, before we get to you, can I bundle these 4 action items on this? Because we basically have 4 commissioners that will depart in us. And with no objection, I'd like to get a motion to approve 13.2, 0.3, 0.4, and 0.5 with one single vote.
So moved.
Okay, I have a motion,
Second.
Commissioner Bailey, second Commissioner Gary. Any discussion?
Sure, yeah, I just, we have a number of people who are not here, but, Senator Barker, just want to thank you for your service. You are an expert, when it comes to transportation, and a fierce advocate in Richmond. Pay attention to the work that you've done in Finance Committee, and in other areas, and you always come back, to make sure that we are fully updated, on what's going on. You know, being somewhat still, I consider myself still be new to kind of the Board of Supervisors and learning all these issues. And there are a few people I feel that really taught me about transportation. Marty Noe, of course, being one of them, Monica Backman with MBTA, and you, Senator Barker. You guys have been very fruitful in terms of understanding this region, and really pushing us to be as powerful as we've become with regards to transportation infrastructure. So thank you for your service.
Right. Commissioner Bailey.
So Senator Barker, from Panera Bread to transportation, what a walk, what a lunch. Thank you so much. I echo what my colleague has said. You will leave an outstanding legacy to follow. And so we are very appreciative for you giving up, just priming us and prepping us for the future for Virginia. You've not been selfish about that at all. No. Not at all, and because you care. And so we will be eternally grateful for all that you've done.
Yes.
Senator Barker, thank you I agree with Supervisor Franklin. I've learned so much when I came to this board and was given so many other transportation things to do, and people like yourself that selfishly have served, and it's so appreciative because we have to train the next generations. They're coming behind us, and you've always answered any questions and served with such grace and dignity in Richmond, and it's much appreciated. And I know you're going to be missed here. I'm sure you'll be missed in Richmond. And, thank you to you and your family for the many years of service to the Commonwealth, because you've done great work to get Longbridge through. So many great things. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
What's that
And
personal
I
style
had-
again?
I had 16 years with the Fairfax chairing the Fairfax Transportation Committee.
Yeah.
Before getting elected to the Senate, so,
We can still call you, right?
oh, yeah,
We will still call you.
that's what I'm afraid of.
Do we have any more comments from the floor? Because what we're gonna do is just make a quick not a quick presentation, a presentation, and then we'll call for the vote after that. So any more
Yeah, I'd just like to say, Senator Barker, I was most impressed. I know you have a wealth of knowledge and you work very hard. And I saw that from the beginning coming in here, and I've only been here for a few years, but my experience with you, what really stuck out to me was your character and that you're accessible and you're so helpful. And clearly that's been articulated by everyone. So you will definitely be missed, and thank you for everything.
And I don't have to hitchhike now, so.
That's true. We have a bus for that.
That's right.
Okay, so we're gonna bring you up here, sir, and we just got a couple more comments.
Pictures or Doris?
And
I personally want to say that I do this 50 hours a week. I think about it. I sometimes do this at midnight. And I am always behind at least 3 steps between the knowledge you have. I consider not just you an expert, but a statesman and a friend. Thank you for all that you've given, because we had to get a motor fuels tax floor worked in. We had to have leadership for getting the merit program put together, the trip funding, the legislation, the impact that you had on this system. Our staff values you. I value and thank you for all the, thank you.
I wanna say, and it won't be.
Okay.
Okay, so Senator Commissioner Parker. In the military, we call you SMEs, subject matter expert, institutional knowledge, and national treasures. I'm here to say that for PRTC, for Commonwealth of Virginia, you have been all of that. You are 100% a national treasure. And I will tell you this, when you leave this position, your impact will be felt. And I would hate to be the next person in the shoes behind you. And that's no joke. But I know that, you know, the world goes on and you're gonna be here to help us through a lot of things and wherever that is, but
I already got 2 jobs, so.
Yes, you do. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So I wanna
And one
thank
of them's
you.
here in Prince William.
All right. I wanna thank you really for all you've done. So, and now we just.
We have a lovely pen set for you to enjoy. And again, we cannot stress enough, we will be feeling the impacts of what you do.
Oh, yeah.
And you're going to do them for us just a little bit. With the
Exactly.
commission as our facilitator for the budget workshop tonight.
Yes. Okay. All right. I believe with that, we're gonna call for the vote, yes?
Victor Angry,
Resounding aye.
Andrew Bailey. Aye. Margaret Franklin.
Aye.
Tanisha Allen.
Aye.
Monica Gary.
Aye.
Pamela Sudesky.
Aye.
Alana Mensing.
Aye.
Deborah Frazier. Todd Horsley.
Yes.
And George Barker.
Pass.
Motion is approved,
Yes,
Mr. Chairman.
thank you, ma'am. And let me just read up, I know you may all see this, but those, the commissioners that are leaving now are gonna be, of course, Commissioner Barker, Commissioner Guzman, Commissioner Kelly, and Commissioner Lawson. So those are our 4 that's gonna be leaving us. So again, so thank you for all of your insight, wisdom, and knowledge, and to the other 3 as well. So appreciate that. And now we are moving up here onto commissioner's time. Yeah, so are we?
Budget workshop after this.
Okay, so for me, I'll start here just simply by saying a happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and I hope you all are safe and listen to those safety advice from Commissioner Lloyd here. And also, I wish you nothing but health and prosperity in the new year. So we'll go this way.
Thank you. I just since this is being recorded, I want to thank the other commissioners who were not able to be here tonight for their many years of service to this commission and to their jurisdictions of the state. You can't do any of these jobs very easily. It takes a lot of time away from your family, and it is appreciated because without everyone joining together, we can't make good decisions. So I want to take a second to thank them for their service. Wish everyone a happy holidays. I agree. Please be safe. And that includes being aware that there's many viruses and things out there that have many people ill. So, wash your hands, basic things, and take care of yourself so you can enjoy your time with your family and your loved ones. Happy holidays.
Yes, I want to echo what everyone else has said and want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And I look forward to chairing the nominating committee, Mr. Chair. And I'm glad to be back with this board.
Happy Hanukkah, happy holidays, Merry Christmas to everyone. It's been a pleasure being here and especially sad to see some go. But again, just, echoing those sentiments once more, as I think we all will and do, even if we don't say it. It has been a pleasure to serve with all of you and those who are leaving from our board as well. So that's all I have.
All right, well, thank you. I certainly enjoyed my time here and trying to do the best I could in terms of making sure that we're doing what we should be doing and providing services to the people in the 6 jurisdictions here. So, and was able to sort of marry some of that up from somewhat from having been on Fairfax and being able to see what we could do that was along that line and getting the metro, the legislation that was passed in 2018 for metro. In 2017, I got worn down going to all these meetings and everybody was pouncing on me, but I made sure that we stood up for the people of Virginia.
Yeah.
And that we got services provided there. And we dipped in and did our what we should have been doing all along. And I outfoxed the reporter from the Washington Post who kept calling me and saying, "You're not going to get anything passed in Richmond." And I said, "Oh, yes, I am." And he put it on the front page of the Metro section on January 1st of 2018 and had to eat crow.
Nice.
I'll say happy holidays on self and Commonwealth, PRTC.
All right.
I'm just here for one night, so happy holidays, everyone.
He threw Jeanette under the bus. No, I'm just kidding. That's all, yeah. Happy holidays to everyone. Happy Hanukkah, as you said. And this is a fun group. This is really a fun group. We get work done, but we really enjoy being together. And we will miss you, Senator Barker, and your quick wit. We'll miss that as well. That's kept us going as well. But just be safe. Take care of each other, take care of your health, because we are going all the time at all hours of the day and night. And so do a little self-care over the holidays.
First of all, congrats to everyone that got reelected.
Including you.
I really stayed by. I thought I would be free, but I guess I signed up for 4 more years. But thank you for your service, Senator Barker. There's I'll read it. There's a quote that I have on my email as a signature. I can find it, but it's by Albert Einstein when he talks, the greatest service is to others.
Mm-hmm.
And so whenever we do this job, people don't realize we sacrifice our own well-being and oftentimes that of our families to service our community. So thank you for your service to this commission and to the Commonwealth. And to everyone else, happy holidays, happy Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, and a happy new year. I hope 2024 is better. It'll be another year post-COVID. And so I'm excited to see everyone's transitioning and where we move forward as not just as a group, but as a country and as a Commonwealth. And so I hope we take 2024 as an opportunity to work together, continue working for everyone and not let politics play a role in our decision making.
Yeah, I just want to say happy holidays to everyone, and want to thank those who aren't here for their service. Obviously, we serve with Supervisor Lawson on the Board of Supervisors, and I always joke that, you know, transportation is one of the few things that we probably agree on without any issues. And actually early on relied on her to really understand some of the local issues around transportation. So want to thank her and Delegate Guzman for her service in Richmond and for also fighting for PRTC and our other transportation commissions. And with that, I just appreciate all of you and looking forward to working with you next year. Thank you.
Awesome. I feel it's worth just noting, going on record, of the institutional knowledge that we're going to be losing in these four. Commissioner Kelly has served on this commission since 2011.
Wow.
Right. Commissioner Barker since 2015, 2016. Commissioner Lawson since 2015, and Commissioner Guzman 2020. That's many years of service. So I just want to point that out and thank you all again for your service. So. And with that, I think we're all done. So we're gonna adjourn. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay, and we have motion to seconded. We're good? Okay, we're adjourned.
Yeah, and if you just want to take a minute or two, stretch your legs, bathroom break, we're gonna get set up and get ready for the budget
And the
presentation.
good dessert's coming out.
Dessert, Christine, I like it. Incentive for staying.
Oh, thank you. Oh, yes.
I know, right?
Election.
Like a cat. Comment.
Nice wrapping.
That's great.
That's beautiful. Yeah, huh? And I'm glad that she. Oh, that's already. PRC too. I want to visit. Audience later.
Yeah.
Hope to see you there.
type stuff, the in the weeds conversations. And so what we do is just tee you up and bring you up to speed. If you've got technical questions from the information we sent out earlier, we can do that, or we can just focus on the conversation surrounding budget and funding. I'll start us off. FY 2025 budget workshop. And of course, now the clicker. Chris. Let me see what's going on here. Sorry about this, guys. It literally worked a couple minutes ago. You got it. No. In the meantime, I think that's just. There we go. All right, so we'll at least get this, go this approach. So what we're gonna do is give you a 5-year horizon and understanding of expenses and what the environment is for us operating a transit system. We put this budget, so FY 21 and 22 are near identical. That spring, we did the budget. We already had a big budget, and a thing called the coronavirus showed up. And even though we'd already given a presentation to the commission for a proposed budget, we had no idea what was coming. And we did a scorched earth / the budget approach. So we just took 2020. We weren't sure what services were going to be available. There was no stimulus funding yet. The only body that had acted by that point was DRPT, who kindly gave us a 13th month of funding. They were the first ones in to support us. We eventually did get some defined funding, but we knew it was going to be pretty clear, 100% COVID, 100% of the time. That was what we focused on: health, safety issues, and protect our status quo environment. Avoiding layoffs, avoiding fleet getting in bad shape, maintaining some services, not forgetting you can't run the Pentagon from a living room. So we still had to deliver people to work. Our local services never closed. We never reduced it. So we still had a local operation every single day. And we hit a sudden and immediate shortage, not just in toilet paper and hand sanitizer, but parts. We couldn't get microchips. We couldn't get turbos for buses. Very, very, very challenging environment. And we had the soft opening that fall of our brand new transit center. No better time to open a transit center than during a pandemic, where we only running, especially out in the Haymarket area, less than 10% of the services we had planned. Very, very, very challenging operating environment experience. And FY 22, second verse, same as the first. It was a near identical budget, near identical service levels, near identical costs in terms of that budget protection. What had happened is during our budget process for FY 2023, we started to prepare and bring back in more services. And as we described here, it was a new normal. People still had the same demand for services. If you were a customer of ours, you knew someone, they were still going into DC, but now it was 1 or 2 days a week. It wasn't 5, but they still expected the same trips. So the buses weren't as full. We were still trying to pare back services. It became a big challenge. In the same window, a massive shortage for bus drivers, not just us. School bus. Think about the challenges for school bus. Think about the challenges for delivery drivers, the challenges for any form of labor in the country. In the country, in almost every industry, we were especially hard hit by this. Stack that on top of labor challenges and cost escalation at home. We all saw, it's a reality, we saw our grocery bill get higher. We saw car expenses get higher, gas was higher, and we also had a very engaged new union, and they went on strike. So we had a 1-month strike during this time period. So we have a very, very expensive period of inflation. The average for the country was 9%. We were trying to get tires. Tires had inflation of almost 100% for a little while. Parts, chips, microchips, the automobile industry, all hit by this. But guess what? We were living in the fiscal year it occurred. So we did not get the pleasure of budgeting for it. FY 24, this current year that we're in, is that catch-up year with our budget. This is something we described early on. We know, especially for Prince William County, who you'll see in a slide, covers the lion's share of expenses. We knew this was going to become a big issue because it was down to labor and equipment. And those two areas, it's the same thing that's hitting Metro. It's the same thing that's hitting Fairfax Connector. It's the same thing hitting Richmond. You can open up any newspaper of any major city, type in the word transit challenge, and it's about dollars. New York City, it's in Boston, it's everywhere. So here we are, this current budget year, we had to do catch up for facility repair. The built in 1997, so a 25-year-old building, if I did that public math right. We are feeling the pain. Our elevators, $100,000 elevator repair. $2 million hole in the backyard because the stormwater system is collapsing. Collapsed, we fixed it. Now, what do we have? 25-year-old fuel tanks on the ground. Massive expenses are coming in. It's all hitting in this period with inflation, with lower ridership, and Phil will go through the numbers on that. Our ridership on local service is great. Our commuter service is what we've historically been able to draw more funds in, and Phil will describe some of the challenges there. That's one of the other areas that's hitting us. So we also have our new union agreement. We have continuation of high maintenance expenses. Costs have not gone down. Buses are more expensive than ever before. Parts and supply more expensive than ever before. Steel, technology, chips, silicon, all those things are more expensive than ever before. And what we did is we saw the joy of a fuel increase on diesel fuel. And on top of that, we did what we promised we would start a couple of years ago, and we were able to introduce microtransit service. And we have Sunday service in Prince William County. We have Saturdays in Manassas. This is not all doom and gloom. We did some really cool stuff. We replaced fleet. We brought in new services, and that's what we programmed in for FY 2024. FY 2025, we get all those expenses and all that new service, and we have a retooled Eastern Prince William service coming. We get the whole thing for the year. Now what you have is this big swing of growth in services, and you also have $4 million in new state service. Thank you, DRPD. We continue to appreciate the support. As you'll see in the slide, and I love saying this number out loud, we went from about $9 million to about 18 million or $8 to $19 million in state level funded service over the last 5 years. We are leveraging more state money, not just in dollar amount, but by percentage than ever before. We are doing our jobs and we're proud of that. And again, we still will have our 25-year-old transit center. And despite us expecting the federal government to recall its employees, they keep saying they're gonna, but they never do. So it's just, this is our new normal. And we've internally have just stopped worrying about pandemic, pre-pandemic. This is post-pandemic. This is our new environment. It truly is a different thing for us. So I'm going to hand the reins over to Phil. Oh, perfect. Does now. So.
Thanks, Bob. So I'm going to touch a little bit on the revenues side of things here, and there's a few, a couple of themes I guess I'd want to get across. But if you start up in the top left box here, you see going into 2021, we had about an $11 million expectation for customer revenue, and as we've discussed, that's when COVID ended up hitting us. And so as you see, we go from fiscal 21 to 22. There's that $5 million or so reduction right there. What you also see just beneath that is an increase in our federal funding. So again, that's reflective of the recovery funding that's come into the system. We formerly just had preventative maintenance funding to help maintenance on the vehicles. And now with the COVID recovery funding, we're able to fill some of the gaps in our funding. Additionally, you start to see, basically a local share here that is relatively consistent. We're asking for about 17.5 million. Increase that by about 300,000 in that 21 to 22 timeframe that we talked about. That was mostly just standstill. But really moving forward from this point, what we end up really seeing here is if we focus on this middle area, the customer revenue is still not recovering. But we have federal recovery dollars that are filling in the gaps. And along with that, we ended up, how you can say this a variety of different ways, but we asked the jurisdictions to fund less in this fiscal year. We actually decreased the amount that we asked them to fund because we were able to use the COVID recovery dollars to offset those amounts. So moving into fiscal 24, the budget cycle that we're in now, we had an expectation, again, might get some more workforce back, might get some more fares out of that. We are expending the last $10 million of COVID recovery funding that we have accessible to us is programmed into this budget. And again, you continue to see the increase in state funding as we add more entirely state funded services. But as a result of the last $10 million being spent and the number going from 18 million in recovery funds in 23 to about 10 million in 24, we've had to come and ask the municipalities for more money. And that's how we got to this $21.5 million in our operating budget in the fourth series of boxes and that one at the bottom under local funding. herein lies the problem where we are moving forward is that, we are reprogramming, as Bob has sort of said, that we're not going to be chasing the post-pandemic, everything coming back. That's over. We're going to try to have realistic expectations of what the new normal is going to be. And so our fares are reflecting this, our customer revenue is reflecting this. But you see in the second box down all the way to the right, the federal recovery money is gone. And that's really, we're back to just having the preventative maintenance dollars that we typically have at our disposal. And that's what we're going to have to use. But you also see, again, the further increase in state-funded services. And so, again, any additions that we are making when we can add services, they're basically being funded by the state. And then other services are being sort of reshuffled with local dollars to take care of, get rid of lower productive things in exchange for higher productive. But where does that put us? It puts us in the spot where we have to ask the municipalities for about $35 million this fiscal year. This is very much in line with the projection we provided last year when we presented our budget. This is in line with that and, consistent with those figures, but it's still nonetheless a shocking and it's a large figure and it's a huge jump. But again, it's tied to, the wind down of the federal money has not been able to, to help sustain us there. So, some substantial revenue issues that we were presented with, and obviously the main one that we're talking about here. So I'm going to touch a little bit on the fuel tax. What this shows here is for the bus sponsoring jurisdictions. This shows the history of the balance over, since fiscal year 2000. And to give you an idea here, the balance has typically been, you see most years it's under $10 million. An operation of our size, what that means is that you have to kind of use your savings and your operating to get by every year. And you're sort of, as the money's coming in, you're spending it, right? And we find ourselves in that situation. But as we can go into in some other information, the fund is just not, fuel tax fund is not keeping up, with what it takes to finance not just PRTC, but all the other things that also come out of the fund as well, which there's a variety of other things. So this is a little bit more detail on the motor fuel tax, and why I'm showing this here is because it's something that was interesting to me is that I've only been here less than 2 years, so I'm learning a lot as well. But one of the things that was really interesting was how much money PRTC has actually returned to the fuel tax. In this 12-year period here, in 10 of those years, PRTC has actually refunded the fuel tax with money when they've run budget surpluses, which I thought was pretty interesting because that's not something that always ends up happening. But they've done that. And so, if the idea here is living within the means of this fuel tax, I think that PRTC, budgets within those means and then returns money when that's available to do so. And again, this is not meant for you to digest the whole entire thing, but it gives you a little feel for what the fuel tax is, on a per gallon basis and tracks the changes in that. And you can start seeing here in 2022 is when it's actually begun to be pegged to inflation. 2021, I did have a jump as well, but in 2022 is when it's being pegged to inflation. But again, if you look at all these years here, in this time frame, we returned about $29 million to the fund. And actually, since PRT started using the fuel tax fund, we've returned almost $50 million to the fund in budget surpluses on a year-to-year basis. So I think that, they're being as efficient as they can be with the funds and returning to things that are not being used. And then I'm going to close out the slide here with this just gives everybody a little feel for how the budget is prepared for the jurisdictional support and where the money comes from. We've all discussed and know that Prince William County for the local share contributes quite a bit, but you can see here how the east and west is broken up. And this is just to give you a little context. If you're thinking about something on the west side of Prince William County, you can get a feel for how that gets funded. If you're thinking about something on the east side, you could do the same thing. And so, with that, I would just add that the other packet of information that was provided, is not something that we intended to walk through all this here. It's really meant to be anticipatory of potential questions that may have and to provide you some data to go along with those questions that may come up as you guys have your discussion. But I'd be happy to answer questions on that at any other point as well. And I think at this point, I'll turn it over to
Senator Barker, do you think we've set the stage appropriately, or is there anything else that you?
We're good.
Okay,
Yeah.
we're out of the way. Okay,
Good.
All right, what I want to do is to say, you got the perspective on what's been happening the last 5 to 15, 20 years. But what we need to do is to start thinking, how are we going to fund what we need to do starting as early as the next fiscal year, in fiscal 25. Fiscal 25 has the $35 million price tag. that we're gonna need to be able to cool down in a lot of different ways. But we can't just do it sitting around with our hands in our pockets. So we need to make sure that we put things together. There is a long history of transportation in the Commonwealth of Virginia. Back in the 20s and 30s, and I don't mean the 2020s or the 2030s, the 1920s and the 1930s, the state government in Virginia was run by the bird machine. And the bird machine had a lot of things that were not too pleasant. It was really very racist there, and we had endured a lot of things. We had a decreasing population starting from the Civil War for the next 100 years, except for starting in the late 1930s, population in Northern Virginia started growing. And it has dramatically increased, obviously, since then. But what the bird machine did was they said, okay, we're going to pave the road so we'll have opportunities for transportation. They did not float bonds to do it. They did not raise taxes to do it. They said, we're going to do it with just the money we have. And so they built on that. And we actually went several decades without any real adjustments along the way. If we were to sit around this table and start doing something like that, we would be run over within 5 years. So we would see tremendous loss of services that are there. The services that we've been picking up that have helped us get through COVID and the pandemic, but also have helped us deal with the issues of what the growing populations and the needs for different services. And it just so happened I drove up from Richmond, just left Richmond about 5 o'clock and got here about 7 o'clock. And I saw what was happening on the lanes, the express lanes on 95 as of today. And so, we are we are capitalizing on a lot of different things. We've had the tremendous services and tremendous benefit that we're already getting on the express lanes on I-66. And it's something that is really building up. What we got to do is to make sure we don't let it get lost. We actually had a lot of people think, oh, it's easy to get people to support something for transportation because everybody wants transportation. So it's something that is actually pretty nonpartisan, as you talk about it there. And we had a major investment in transportation in Virginia in a special session of the legislature in 1986. Anybody have any idea when was the next time we had a major investment in transportation?
Last year.
Not quite. 2013.
Oh, wow.
It was 27 years between the 86 special session and what we did in the legislative session in 2013. So what we've done is we have actually sort of put on our big boy pants and said we're going to get going and we're going to try to do a lot of different things. And we've also made some significant investments in transit. We've had the Northern Virginia Transportation Authority that's been operating in Northern Virginia. It operated for several years without any money, but then once we got it taken care of, we have made major progress there as well. So we're starting to get the investments, and we're getting the investments in terms of pavement, but in terms also of the rail transportation, the state operation that we have here now, and the services that we get for the different transit systems. In 2017, we were in a situation where the metropolitan Washington system was in bad shape. They had not invested wisely on things. They had not made the effort to bring in the resources that they needed to be able to keep up with the development of the rail system, but also a lot of the metro buses that are operating in some parts of Northern Virginia, and a lot more in DC and in Maryland and Montgomery and Prince George's counties. And there was have been on the board of the Metropolitan Washington Council of Governments. And I had to take that issue on and straighten everybody out to make sure that we could fund a program to get $5 billion over 10 years to take care of making sure that the capital expenses that we needed to invest in were done. And that was part of what I referred to earlier today. So when they said that I would never get it done in Richmond, but we got it done in Richmond, and I changed minds of people in DC and Maryland to make sure that they were on board with it, and they certainly have been very supportive of that. So we got legislation passed that's moving very well. Unfortunately, Metro is in a situation right now that they're behind on the funding the operating cost because they don't have the ridership. Their ridership has not come back as fast as a lot of the OmniRide and many others in percentage terms. And what we had done was we used the 2013 transportation legislation that was passed to make sure that we could start doing a lot of these types of things to support the transit services that are necessary to meet an urban area like what we have here in the metropolitan Washington area. We then, coupled that with the funding at with the capital cost there, and we came back with another bill to make sure that we pushed on the transit level there. We had taken 27 years between 1986 and 2013. It only took 7 years to get from 2013 to 2020, and we did another big investment in transit. What we need to do is to make sure that we continue to follow that path there and get things happening. We've had to fight a little bit the last couple of years. We've had proposals that funded some of the funding services for the transit of both rail and the bus services. And one of the things that we did was in Virginia, we actually put some money into the sales tax to have some of that money available for schools at the local level, for transit at the local level, and for bodies like PRTC to be able to provide the services there. And so we have actually moved it very well there, and have been able to expand what we had been doing. And you put that together with the federal money that we've gotten during the pandemic, and we think that have actually worked out pretty well. But we can't wait. We can't just sit on our laurels and say we've done a great job. We're going to go home, or maybe I will go home, but not everybody. But we can do that. And one of the things that we debated last year in 2022 was taking money out of systems. And one of the things that we had to fight about was the sales tax that is provided on groceries. That was one that was a dangerous proposal from my perspective. So the money that has been used, we'd actually already dramatically reduced the tax rate for groceries, but the proposal from the governor was to eliminate it altogether. What that would have done was taken a significant cuts to K through 12 education funding for local transit and transportation projects throughout the Commonwealth, and to have a penny that has been there for almost ever since we back there in the 1960s when we first started a sales tax, and have 1 penny that supports the local governments. The promise was made that that we would find ways in which to supplement those funds. That would, if I had bought into that, which I certainly didn't, we would have funded some holes in the budget, but within 5 years, it would have all gone. So we would have been in a bad shape, and we would have reduced the amount of support that we are providing to our local government too. So that's what we need to do, is to make sure that we stand up for those types of things. And I was successful in holding off on the 1 penny that each jurisdiction got to keep there. And VACO and VML were ecstatic that we were able to do that. So, and I did that almost one single-handedly on it. But we need to start looking around at other types of things to be able to get things done. This year, I mean, we've actually benefited on a lot of the things that is Bob talked about, has with the state putting money in, but the state's money, a lot of it has come from what has been provided by the federal government for the as part of the CARES program and the various programs that have happened here. And so we've gotten money and we've invested it wisely. What we need to do is to figure out whether we can continue to receive what we've been getting at the state level. That's not a guarantee. We've had good revenues at the state level in Virginia, and I've spent about $1 billion each year on those types of things, putting the budget together. But what we have to do is to make sure that we take advantage of whatever we can get out of the state, but not to rely too heavily on it. If we rely too heavily on it, we will end up having to cut services like we did before. And that is not something I think we need to do yet. We also need to be able to handle some of these things, partly because the metro system had operating gap right now of between $700 and $800 million. And the governor in Maryland has started taking action on the budgets the budget for Maryland. He is making cuts in his budget, and it's already been reported. And the cuts are coming first and mostly out of transportation services. They are cutting highway projects. They are cutting subsidy for transit, which they've actually historically been pretty good on it. And what we need to do is to try to push them to be taking the right action on those types of things. The governor is going to announce his bus budget that he's proposing for the next 2 years. That will happen on December 20th, and will be in Richmond. But he has already put together a substantial list of things he's going to try to cut. What we need to do is to make sure that we are standing up and trying to make sure that we can provide the services that we need to have. So what we need to do is to figure out where else we can get it if we can't just pull it out of the state budget. So I'll give you a variety of different things. One is that we have not really relied heavily upon the local governments here in the 6 jurisdictions to be able to provide enough resources to accomplish what we need to do and what we know we should be doing. What we have now, though, is we have some opportunities. Because of the state revenues have been very good the last couple of years. Last year we did a 2-year budget, which is we have biennial budgets at the state level. And we put a lot of money into a variety of different services. We put money into mental health. We put money into K-12. We put money into higher education. We put money into the salaries of the state workforce. We put money into a lot of the things related to the criminal justice system. So those were the things we did. and we went away. And we did not have, this year, we did not have to do anything more on the budget if we didn't want to. But what we did was we worked very, very hard. And I was taking the lead on this. And we ended up adding $1 billion to a variety of different things that will relate, are most of which are things that are happening at the local level. And the money is flowing from the state to the localities. And one of the things that happens there is once the jurisdictions have the money they need for those services, and it's particularly K through 12 education, mental health services, and some of the transportation types of things. So those are the things that we need to make sure that we're taking advantage of. And I got into the budget this year, which we didn't pass till September because we didn't need to do it, and we wanted to maximize what we could do. And we did pretty well on it. We put over $600 million in addition to what we had done last year, which had almost that amount on increasing funding for K through 12 education. The jurisdiction who got the most money out of that $600 million out of all the jurisdictions in the Commonwealth was Prince William. Prince William got $51 million. So we had 3 or 4 different categories there. And of course we had, some continuation of services on the mental health side. What those things do is make it so that the localities have adequate resources to be able to do a lot of the things they would have wanted to do anyway. But when this type of funding comes through, and actually, if you take all 6 jurisdictions, it's $90 million just on mental health. I mean, just on K through 12. And there's about another 10 million on the mental health side that we've put in there. But we have 51 million from Prince William. That's the most, the one that has the largest sum of that. With add in Manassas and Manassas Park, you got 59 million. Stafford, 16 million. Spotsylvania, 13 million, and Fredericksburg about 2 million. $90 million coming in to the school systems for the 6 jurisdictions for the area here for the PRTC. That can free up some monies for other types of things. So what everybody who is from these jurisdictions needs to try to figure out what can we do and how can we spread things around so that we can use the state money for some of the things that we otherwise would have used for, for the mental health side and for the K through 12 education. But if we applied all that $90 million to it, it would have been significant. You also have to start to take a look at what's happening. For a good while, the revenues at the local government level were not moving up anywhere near as fast as they were at the state level. So we, made sure to be able to provide monies to the jurisdictions. But now what we have is economic development that is incurred that is being the revenues at the local level are starting to pick up a good bit. So there will be, or at least many jurisdictions, whether it's all 6, I don't know, but we have resources there that we can use. Some of which we don't have to use all of it for transit, but we can start to look at how we can do to provide the services there. And this was not the issue that was raised in Prince William just recently on things, but the data centers are going to be generating a lot of money in Prince William there. So
I think so.
So yeah, it's already happened in Loudoun. It's a good bit that's happened in Fairfax County, and Prince William should not be left out in ways in which it has been sometimes in the past. So we have the opportunities to be able to figure out what we want to do, what we can do, and what would be the best things for the people who are riding the buses and the other types of transit as well, VRE and those types of things, to be able to provide the money from these types of various programs. You know, some of it's to replace some of the money that the state is now finally paying into the jurisdictions. And then and the teacher funding also, the teachers get a 7% raise this year, a 5% raise last year. So we help boost even the incomes of some of the people that are in our jurisdictions here. But what we can also then do is benefit from what we have in terms of the increase in revenues that we're getting as part of economic development and the services that we don't have to fund from what's been taken out of the local government there. So that's sort of my overall take on things. There are a lot of things that I think we need to make sure that everybody here buys into in terms of what we can do to enhance the the transit systems. One of the other things, just as on a little bit of a side note, or two side notes. One was the Long Bridge, which is the bridge that was still standing after 100 years. So, but is now being provided and is going to be doubled in capacity because of the building, a parallel track coming over the Potomac. But also, we have other things that are happening here, and we need to make sure that we take advantage of those. We have the best passenger rail system of any state other than New York in the eastern half of the United States. So we are getting extraordinary ridership on the passenger rails in Virginia, and it's actually phenomenal. And they now have to go from Roanoke to DC and back. You have to buy your tickets early because you're not going to get them if you wait too long on many of those trains. So you can see that the public wants these types of services. They're willing to contribute their cash to that. But what we need to do is to make sure that we're doing the things that will make a difference in the end for the people of Prince William, Manassas Park, Stafford, Fredericksburg, and Spotsylvania. And I'll be happy to answer any questions or comments.
I have a question and a comment, but the question is on the slides, and I'm just curious, just really quick, and then I'm gonna get to some good points you made. But the slide about the gas tax, and then we give back money.
Yes.
Where does that money go, and how is that money spent? Like, if we give it back and PRTC.
So basically what'll happen is that, let's just use an example of $10 million. We budget $10 million, and throughout expenses, we only spend, say, 8 of that money. What giving that back would mean is that instead of actually writing a check and putting it into the fuel tax, it becomes part of the next year's budget as a carryover, I know. But it's essentially returning the money to the fund because you asked for 10, used 8, 2 goes back. That process happens.
But 2 goes back to our budget or wherever?
Basically two goes back into the revenue.
Right. So then it's spent.
So that 10
whatever.
Exactly.
Train, whatever.
Well, it goes back into it essentially goes back into the motor fuel.
Think about it as the bucket.
Trust fund.
It's once you spend it, it's gone. So we know that we want more money in the bucket for next year. So there's an incentive for us to not spend because it'll be a resource later. The terminology we talk about is keeping our powder dry. So we really work extremely hard on that. The challenge is the powder doesn't refill anymore.
Right.
With the motor fuels tax, and that combined with the CROC funding, the other components that fund VRE, the dollars aren't going back in at the rate that they're being drawn down through our operation,
and other operations.
Other operations, correct.
So just because we put it back in the bucket doesn't mean we get it back, because it could be spent for other operations other than PRTC.
Correct.
Which then kind of creates this. But, you know, so Senator Barker, like, I always say, you gotta know your history so we know where we're going for. But you brought up some good points, and, you know, we can't really spend a lot of time kind of getting into data centers, but I will say that we know that all of the jurisdictions are gonna have to figure out our way through our general funds or some form of revenue to really help sustain and kind of keep PRTC and our bus system going. And I think the Long Bridge, you know, announcement this morning is critical because it's the passenger influx into the area, which hopefully we can get bus services so people can rely from that point to the next point, which is a good thing. But then, you know, I always just, you know, I wonder when do we have, I know we need to have those discussions now, but what do those discussions look like in our local board chambers? So we can start now to have the discussions about funding. So to me, I think that's for all of us as partners of PRTC that we have to take back to our boards and figure out. Okay, all right. Figure out what that looks like. So.
And one thing just to tie it to Long Bridge, when Long Bridge, the second half of that, you know, one that we beside the, you know, 100-year-old bridge, when you have that second bridge, what's going to happen is somebody in Prince William can take VRE to not even all the way into DC, but you can go to there and get on a MARC train that is from Maryland that right now cannot cross the Potomac River. And they, you know, they are in a little bit of a difficult situation because with all the jobs that Amazon is bringing into the Arlington, Alexandria area, there are a tremendous number of people who are being hired to for that operation. And a lot of them come from Maryland, both Prince George's and Montgomery, and they can go as far as Union Station, but that's it. So you know, we need to make sure that we have opportunities for people to use the services, and Maryland is putting money into that. So.
How much money was that Prince William got for schools again?
Prince William Schools got an extra 51 million. So.
It's depressing.
I'm happy for you. Fairfax was 48 million.
Stafford was 16.
Stafford was 16. Well, you're not as populous, so.
That's okay. We'll get there.
Yeah, that's you will. So that's the situation. So.
Thank you.
So we got any? Yes.
Listening to the presentation, Senator Barker, obviously we need to be able to keep up with keeping our lights on, but I think one of the challenges that Supervisor Frazier actually just had to leave, but I think one of the challenges that this organization may face from counties further south is that, you know, Prince William County has had the added benefit of going through their development, their transformation in terms of what the county now looks like. Whereas we're in the south, further south, we're now in the process of dealing with that growth and that development. And so Supervisor Gary can pretty much sign to what I'm saying. And I'm just thinking, you know, that $35 million, I know it's not Stafford County is paying that, but just that increase and us having to balance, I think we have to build 4 or 5 new schools in the next 5 years and 2 or 3 fire stations. And I can already hear my colleagues saying, what are the justifiable measures that we should keep doing this? And I'm not saying that there isn't, but I think and I think Phil and Bob kind of talked about it a little bit in the previous presentation is, are we starting as an organization, and we talked about it in our executive meeting before, are we as an organization starting to plan for alternative ways for transportation to be useful outside the traditional model? Because then it's easier for us to justify that increase, because now we can tell our constituents, no, it's not just Monday to Friday. You now have additional options to utilize VRE or PRTC to go to DC or go to Tyson's Corner, go wherever you want to go up north to do your business without having to be on the road. And so I don't know, and this is the Bob and, you know, and his team is, where we are in the planning process to start phasing in some of that, or even start engineering those thoughts so that as the budget increases, even just for basic needs, at least we know long-term, it's gonna be justifiable because we're gonna be offering additional services and opportunities that people can then say, okay, I'm okay with supporting this.
Well, you're on target. We have 3 routes that are going to be set up, reaching into Stafford and to Spotsylvania. That will go north in the morning, south in the afternoon. And this has been is funded by the state at this point, so there's not any local monies there.
Yeah, DBT,
Yeah.
yeah, sorry.
It's Commonwealth money from the Special Interstate Operations Enhancement Program.
Yeah.
How long
So-
does that last?
Well, it's set up, it's set up to be throughout the next probably couple of years.
Okay.
There. And also, what you have, the first month, with it starting now, it's free. So we're enticing people to come on.
Yep.
To try it out and see whether it's something that works. Now, my dental hygienist lives in Fredericksburg or Stafford, I forget which. But she works at a dental service in Springfield. She's there by 7 o'clock every morning. And she says she does it because it's less traffic at that time in the morning and a lot less traffic in the afternoon, so. And what we need to do is to be able to provide those types of options for people from that area, and it's gonna be tremendous. And eventually, it'll be, probably another decade or two, connecting everything from DC to Richmond.
Yeah.
Will be pathways there that will be usable and provide options for people to do these types of things, so. So, yeah. Yes.
I wanted to ask, I'm sorry.
Bill Perrell.
Bill,
Yes.
I wanted to ask you, about our, or have we utilized all of our CARES Act money?
This fiscal year that we're in right now, fiscal 24, we will expend the last of that money.
Yeah, which is why we need to find money for next year.
Yeah.
Because
I thought it was
it's the 35
26, but it's
million that,
24,
you pointed out that we
That's
need
the
for the
okay.
fiscal 25 budget, so yeah.
Yeah, correct, that's correct. We got about 34 million in total has been sprinkled throughout our budget, about 34 total million dollars.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I say one more thing? Thank you. Senator Barker, thank you for, and you smiled at me when I said for having the courage to say the DC word, data centers.
Yeah.
But though very controversial, it still is a resource for funding in so many different ways, Any suggestions how we can, and this may be a longer conversation or even offline, but just planting a seed about how we can say that in a softer way, but a more impactful way, because it is a resource for funding that we don't ordinarily think about. We think about state funding and federal funding, but we don't think about that piece of it, but it's become a very popular piece. So.
That's makes a lot of sense. And, what we need to do, I think, is, one thing I will say to people, a lot of times people say, well, this is a transportation project, so we'll increase a tax for something that is directly related to transportation. The gas tax thing and the fuel have helped us a lot, but those usually don't last long term.
Right.
And what you need to do is to make this holistic part of the budget.
Right.
And if you do that, you're going to have more flexibility, and you can make the decisions in ways that those of you who are on city councils and boards of supervisors will be able to figure out how much do we put in transit, how much do we put in roads when we're doing that, how much do we put in on mental health services, how much do we put in on K through 12 education, or pre-K even. So which is we certainly need some of that too. So we have those types of things, and so often something that sounds good, oh, well, we'll just charge you for an extra fee for your registration of your car, or an extra fee for, you know, the sales tax amount of buying a new car, so those kinds of things. And those things usually do not last long, so.
Right.
But because we think the same way, and that's what this new thinking is, because, I mean, we want people to go to electric cars, and then we want to find a way to charge them for charging their car, because we know that we can get away from gas,
Right.
which benefits the public transportation system. It's kind of insane to think that way, but here's something I would say for staff, and as we go forward, like we were talking a lot about this, you know, when you look at ridership and you know, it was $11 million that we had to go, so we're down to 3.8 or whatever that is, and we have that difference, that gap in there. That may not be the real number anymore because of the fact that people are working from home, which personally may end up, if you really look at the data and the research and really greenhouse gas emission, maybe the best thing, because more is getting done. We're actually solving our greenhouse gas emission, we're getting cars off the road. So that number may be different of what ridership really looks like, because true enough, with again, back to Long Bridge and really, you know, back and forth, transportation going into the city literally like all day, or, you know, in the morning, evening, and night, you can go have a, you know, dinner in the city, which would be great, because then we could find our new ridership numbers and what that looks like, because ultimately, to your point, sir, it's gonna come back down to our localities to look at how in our general funds that we can sustain and fund this system, which I believe, to your point about data centers and even a commercial tax base in most of our regions, that we may be able to pull out something, a percentage of something, tie it over into our bus system and let that pot grow from there. And then we just sustain and solve our own internal problem. I think honestly, that's a real viable option that we should be taking back to look at. But I think it starts with trying to find what new ridership looks like based on the new model, and not necessarily the federal government saying the best way to get public transportation to work is get everybody back into DC. You know, I just don't think that's really the answer there. So I'll stop there.
I was gonna say, and I'll play off of that. Thank you for your presentations tonight, but we were talking in closed session. If I've heard it once, I've heard it at least 15 times in the last 2 or 3 weeks. Oh, the solution for transportation is we've got to force the federal employees to all go back to DC, and that'll solve transportation, solve Metro, it'll solve everybody. And it's not. I mean, for our forever change, the pandemic showed business that people could work from home or work from other localities. And I think in transportation, we are going to have to pivot faster than we might have originally had to, just like businesses had to do. Maybe we do have to reach out to businesses, and if your employees are working from home, trying to get some of these people off the road. I know as I commute sometimes, all the people in single occupancy vehicles are probably not because they're going to work. We all know that. So we have to evolve as transportation organizations and think of creative ways of how and I've learned this from many people like yourself, you know, people are going to go to the path of least resistance. If it's easier for me to ride a bus to go to the grocery store than it is to get in my car, then I'm going to do that. But, you know, I think when you're looking at rail transportation, you know, we've got to move products and services, got to move people, but we have to be able to move those people at the times that they're looking to do. And that's a very different, you know, animal now than it was before. And so I challenge my colleagues around this table and at other places that we talk about transportation, that I think that the key is not to say force more people to go into offices at the times of day that we think they all should go back to, because I think we do have people going into offices, but they're going in at different times that our transportation may not be working for them.
Yeah, that's clearly happens a lot. And I can tell you that when I first started running for the Senate and knocking on doors in Prince William County, what I was finding was that there were a lot of people who lived in Prince William County and who said, I would love to go to DC on a Saturday or a Sunday, but I don't know when I would be able to get back if the traffic is as bad as it is, so.
True.
So, yeah.
No, but I mean, these things aren't cheap, and all of us are having to pay for it, but maybe we need to look at businesses and the quality for their employees, especially if their employees are working in multiple
Yeah.
working from home in multiple jurisdictions. I mean, I don't know, I just from the city council, but, having sat here for a few years now, I've learned a lot, and having gone through the pandemic, I think it's taught all of us that, we are forever changed in how we look at a lot of things. So it's time to start thinking a little creatively about how we can move people in the region, not just for employment, but in all aspects, so that is their choice of transportation versus single occupancy vehicles.
Yeah. Well, Pam told me just run faster, so.
Yeah, that's true. I do tell them.
Yeah.
She had her way of making sure that I did what I was supposed to be doing.
That's right.
Well, I feel like we all have a better understanding of the budget, and that we need to reframe the question of bus transportation. I want to say this though, it's kind of off a little bit, but even this morning, yesterday I got that email about the special announcement, get up to Arlington. I dreaded that because, I knew I could take my easy pass and get on HOV and go north, but I knew if that thing isn't over by noon or 1, I gotta fight the traffic coming back south, and nobody wants to do that, and that's why I wish, this is why these buses are so important when you're talking about I just want to throw that out there because I think this is very relevant. We got to figure out a way. We know that the new our hot topic is really how do we sustain and finance our bus system, PRTC, going forward. And so I want to thank you for presenting this and giving the history of it, because that's important to know how we got here, so we know where we're going and how do we even attempt to get there. So
We had a lovely bus trip on Friday.
yes, we did. I loved it. Beautiful bus. That double decker car. Oh my God, we need to get one. No, okay, that's another side. We're not gonna go there. Not gonna go there. So you Dr. Satter, Bob, you wanna?
No, thank you very much. And again, Senator Barker.
Bobby, excuse me, Bobby.
Senator Barker, tremendous wealth of knowledge. But again, I think your comment of reframing the question historically for the commission, there was another chart we decided to pull out, but it's all the other times there's been a fiscal crisis. What happens is the motor fuels tax hits its limitation, and then some change is made. The trend will be, I assure you, even if you do something with the motor fuels tax or some pivot, you are going to be back in this situation. It won't be 7 years. It was, I think 2015 was the last time, and I'm sure staff remembers the 2015, 2016 era. It will be sooner than that because the motor fuels tax is declining. You were going to hit a point very soon where you're actually going to have less money go in year over year due to the fuel efficiency electric cars. And again, to your point, travels and commuting. Federal employees aren't going in, they're not pumping the gas. So thank you all for the time, a lot of hard work. The people I really want to compliment, Phil Perella, Bhupendra Kanta, Joyce Embry. They're the ones who do all the financial work, did all the budget work. Our staff did our entire budget. Normally we do it December and January. They had it done by November 15th. Wow. A whole lot of work. The good news is the budget's done. Normally they're pulling their hair out December, January. The next big question is going to be, how do we move forward with Prince William County, the finance department, and prepare you to make this big decision coming this spring, and how you go about that.
Yeah, that is good.
So again, thank you for the time and consideration. And Senator Barker, we have a presentation. This was specially selected for you. Where is
It's
it?
not a Tiffany bag.
Okay, originally this was supposed to be the Sheets gas card, so he would spend all the money in Prince William County, and that's card to the bus bin, Stafford, Fredericksburg. But it is just a gift card to be used wherever you wish. Okay, so thank you very much. We do it.
All right, well, I don't need to hit a gavel, do I? We're just good. Or should I just hit it because I love the gavel?
Happy New Year, gavel.
Happy New Year, gavel. Thank you all. Thank you all for
Happy New
being
Year,
here. Thank you for the time. This is really great. Let's get up out of here.
Nice.
That's so terrible. That's the ultimate dad joke. Have a dad joke.